Jessica, and I'm here representing All Things Dog Blog, presenting you with a Yoga for Dogs routine. So now, what we want to establish first with our routine is that, one, we pull out our yoga mats. It's a safe place, it's a happy place, and it's a place where your dog companion can join you in your practice. Okay, now I must admit, for the longest time in my personal practice, I did not include my dog in my practice. Even though every time I pull out my mat, she always wants to join me. She comes right out of the mat, she sits right by me, and she gives me this sad little face. And I just didn't really understand what to do with her until I was presented with this wonderful opportunity to share with you guys this Yoga for Dogs routine. So I did a little research, looked into it, and what I found is there's really no right or wrong way to practice yoga with a dog. Okay, you just need to be willing to modify your practice really on a regular basis to find what works best for you and your dog, depending on, of course, the dog's shape and size and mood, which, as we all know, can change on a regular basis. So, just taking into account all of the above factors, I'm going to try and present you guys with a basic beginning yoga routine that will work for all body types and all dog types. Okay, so now I have here with me Nikki B. And Nikki B, as you can see, is a toy-sized dog. She's technically just the runt of her litter, a little Yorkshire Terrier. She's the smallest one, so they call her the runt. So she can do quite a bit with me in my practice, just because she can actually sit on my lap, for instance, in this first pose that we're practicing, the easy seated pose. I can manipulate her body physically to stretch in the poses, and I can also incorporate her into my pose to make it a partner pose. So Nikki can be my partner and help me to reach a different version of a pose that might have more benefits with the added weight of my partner. So to begin our practice, I have us start in this easy seated pose where the legs are just comfortably crossed, okay, and we're trying to keep those ankles in alignment with the knees, okay, so we're not necessarily trying to bring those feet in towards the pelvis, we're just keeping them in alignment with the knees, okay, and I will say that if you do find your knees up like this, okay, that indicates that you're having some issues with tight hips today. So what we could do to relieve that and to modify the pose is, first of all, elevate the level of the floor. Okay, and by that I mean essentially sit on something. So maybe it's a blanket or a pillow, or maybe you have a fancy meditation pillow. Whatever it is that you have available to you, sit on it. So you're elevating the hips, so they're staying more in alignment with the knees, okay? And as we begin to practice this first pose, we'll first of all check in with our own physical alignment. So, are the shoulders down and away from the ears? Is the core engaged? By the core, I mean everything from the pelvic floor to the abdomen and the glute to the back, the upper abdomen, the obliques. Everything is engaged here to protect that spine and bring it into its natural S-curve alignment. Okay? Chest is open, the crown of the head lifts up to the sky, and the bottom of the glute sinks down into the earth. Okay, and a lot of times what I find helpful to establish that proper alignment is to physically take the glute and pull it out and away from the bones. Okay, so you're moving the junk from the trunk so you can establish more of a firm base on your mat or on your pillow or whatever it is that you're sitting on today. And then I always instruct my students when we begin to practice to first establish proper alignment and then turn the awareness inward. So follow the breath. Okay, so as we establish that connection with the breath, its rhythm and its quality, we can also take the time to massage our dog. Okay, now as you see, Nikki B fits comfortably in my lap. Maybe your dog's a little bigger and doesn't quite fit on your lap, so what you can do is you can just place her or him off to the side, give him a little rub down, maybe under the ears, under the chin, on the back. Maybe he or she will roll over and she wants a little belly rub. Maybe we can lift it up and rub it belly like that. Oh, that feels good, huh? Yeah. Okay, now again, just whatever feels best for you and your dog today. And you're going to be the one who can best gauge that, okay? So I'm just going to share my tips with you guys and encourage you to find what works best for you and your puppy dogs, okay? And then I guess I should go over the breathing pattern, because in yoga, we want to take the breath and originate it from the bottom of the belly, so the diaphragm, okay? So as we inhale through the nose, we'll expand the belly. Then we'll move the breath up into the lungs and in the chest. Okay, and then when we exhale the breath, we'll release the air from the belly, the lungs, and the chest. Okay, now if you're new to yoga, brand new, and you don't have a lot of experience with this breathing pattern, and you know what, even though I've been practicing yoga for 11 years now, I still will sometimes place one hand on the belly and one hand on the chest so I can feel the belly as it rises and falls with every inhale and exhale of the breath. Okay, and we also want to be able to hear the breath sounds. Okay, I find this is very soothing, not only for me, but also for Nikki B. So to be able to hear the breath sounds, what you want to do is relax the jaw. Okay, maybe even put a little smile on the face. I always say even just a little Mona Lisa smile will help release tension in the face, which will open the jaw, which will open the airway, which will allow that breath to move freely. Okay. Another thing that we can do to hear the breath is to, it's kind of, you move the tongue in such a way that you would when you're whispering or when you're fogging a glass. And it involves the epiglottis as well. So you want to experiment with that and till you find the point where you can hear the breath sound. So it sounds like this. Okay, so that's the Ujjayi breath that we practice in yoga. Again, incorporating that nice massage with your dog, establishing trust, and just reassuring the dog that this is a safe place, that she's welcome, or he is welcome with you on your mat during your practice. And you could chant as well. If chanting is part of your practice, maybe you want to start with just simple Om. 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 Okay, so if chanting feels good and you find it soothing to both you and your dog, then certainly incorporate in that practice. Or Or you could just, start with the proper alignment. I should say you could also line yourself up against a wall too for a little extra support. Okay, and then, one other thing we can do for support in this pose is to put something under the knees. So I've got my fancy yoga blocks here, but certainly if you're new to yoga and you don't have your own fancy yoga blocks, you could just, roll up some towels, roll up some blankets, and just, place them under the knees for extra support so you're not feeling any sort of strain in this pose, okay? Because this is really one of the most important poses because we're establishing that proper alignment. We're turning our awareness inward to follow the breath as it moves throughout the body, okay? So that's all the tips that I have for this first pose in our Yoga for Dogs series, Easy Seated Pose. So thank you for practicing with me, and tune in next time for the next pose in our warm-up. Namaste.